There we are, and that's the way the news goes. Hey, everybody, welcome another edition of NetHeads. My name is Will.
Oh, we're not doing the cold open?
No. Oh, okay. You
Oh.
want to do a cold open?
No,
Hold
no,
on.
no. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea what's happening.
I'll tell you why I'm so confused in a minute, but that's okay. I'm going to give you a reset, everybody. Actually, that is very apropos for this silly little thing we call a podcast, having just a live reset, an audible right there, right in the middle of the whole kit and caboodle, isn't it? That's like, that was our founding bread and butter, wasn't it, Trent?
An audible?
No, not an audible, like never mind. Anyway, you want a cold open? We'll do a cold open. Hold on. Hey, everybody, welcome another edition of NetHeads. And this week, we don't have an app to talk about. You know why we don't have an app to talk about, Trent?
No.
It's because it's the big number 200 episode of NetHeads. What does that mean? This one is this one. Yes, the one you've been provided no show rundown for.
That's neat.
No prep work for.
Yeah, so it's just like the other 199.
Exactly. But unlike all those other times, Trent, we've got a first. I've never done this before, but I've actually got a special guest that I'm sniping you with. Yes.
What?
Yes, but I'm not going to reveal it now because we haven't officially started the show. So keeping with the way things are supposed to go, there's your cold open. Here's the intro, and we'll be back in a second. NetHeads. With clever meme, with funny tweet, I'll never leave my office seat. Those who think they know what's right, listen on Sundays to NetHeads, all right?
You've got to throw some cold water on this situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now. So when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek, giving you the info you need to achieve mega nerd status. NetHeads. You guys rock. And now, here's Will and Trent.
That's right, everybody. Welcome. Another edition of NetHeads. My name is Will.
I'm Trent.
Coming to you live from many places. One of them YouTube right now, but the other, where is that, Trent?
Twitter, I think.
No, not communication. I was saying, where could they get the show?
Oh, on SModcast.com, of course.
There we go. You had one job, dude.
Yeah.
One job. I have many of them, and I never get them done on time anyway, so neither here nor there. But you can take part in the program if you want to, live while we're on the air or after the fact. One of many ways. You already mentioned it, Trent. What is it?
Hashtag NetHeads.
That's right, and that's in the Twitterverse. You can also, you can try and give us a call, but we wouldn't recommend it because, Trent, big 200th episode of our podcast. What does it mean? We've had 199 other free hours to do nothing of goodness. Really?
Hours
with our lives?
God, we run 2.5 hours sometimes. Don't sell yourself short.
Oh, well, I'm just used to that. Although I'm starting to look at my body and think that maybe I kind of have is it Adrian Gray? No, that's the actress. The guy with the picture that hangs and he never ages and the photo does. The painting, you know who I'm talking about?
With that one.
Never mind. Anyway, I thought I was about to make a joke that I must have that relationship with Kevin because it seems like every time I see him, he's skinnier and I'm bigger. But neither here nor there. You can try and give us a call. Good luck with that. 866-610-9455. Easiest is NetHeads on air, but odds are I'm not going to answer it if you do call because, Trent, that line is occupied right now, and it has been in preparation of a special thing. I wanted to have a guest on the show. No butt stuff. Well, I don't know. I haven't been told what the price of this guest's appearance is yet.
Well, hey, but I'll give up my butt pussy if I need to.
Well, I guess it all depends on who is the opposite end of that line, right? Because you think, oh, Will, you got me a special guest.
Hey, I'll do it for the team. I'll take one for the team. I don't need to know. I'll just face forward. I'll face forward, true believers.
Okay, mystery guest, please unmute your microphone and simply provide a one sentence so Trent may attempt to guess who you are.
Dorian Gray was the character you were looking for.
Thank you.
You moron. Okay.
Trent, are you aware of who is the mystery guest for the big
Is that
episode?
Matt?
That is Mr. Matt.
Oh
Now,
my God! We have a bona fide celebrity. What are we doing on the show, Will? We need to fucking shut this down.
are you saying we've gone above our pay grade here?
This is bad things will happen.
Why? Ladies and gentlemen,
We're not equipped for this.
on our microphones today, Mr. If you want to piss him off, you can call him Matt Mira.
God, fuck you.
But if you don't want to, Mr. Matt Mira, many podcast host, too many actually. But I have questions for you too, Matt, because I think your journey is one of those ones people need to hear about. That's just me though. But Trent, there was a conversation that happened earlier in the week, and Matt was nice enough to offer himself as a guest, and I'm like, that's great, I'll probably take you up on it. And then I had an epiphany. You're about to do episode 200. You have nothing lined up, and I know that Trent respects and appreciates you, Matt. So and I think
I'm just trying to hold my shit together in front of this camera.
Oh yeah, why are you freaking out now, dude? It's just
my little fangirling going on,
dude. It's just another podcaster. Just think of it that way, all right? He's just another podcaster.
It's easier because I can just hear him. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah. You don't want to see me, right?
Yeah, this way I can. There's cognitive dissonance where I'm like, it's just like a podcast. It's still not real.
Yeah, and by the way, too, I want to let all of the audience know, the few, the proud, the NetHeads Nation. Thank you very much. Apparently, some of our fans, Trent, it sounds so douchey saying that. People that listen to the podcast, the listeners attempted to gather together and send us well wishes for episode 200. So I think listening to and potentially even ridiculing those will be episode 201.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, because we got this special thing lined up, which is Mr. Matt Mira. Now, Matt, one of the reasons why I appreciated you making the offer was because I think it was around December, January of last year, Trent. I would always ask you on the podcast, what have you been doing? And your answer, I don't know if you remember, what was your answer at the time?
Selling comics?
No, just watching lots of episodes of Frasier.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh shit, I watched all the Frasier in like a month.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a lot of Frasier to cram into a month.
I didn't have a lot going on, Matt.
Frasier at 264 episodes. That's a lot of dude. That's a lot of watching it. That's nearly 10 a day.
Yeah, well, there was
February. It is 10 a day.
I started drinking sherry. There were a lot of things that were happening. I can't really explain it all.
Do you find yourself when you watch that much, even though there is no Niles in your life, just going, "Good God, Niles"?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, your inner monologue at that point. You just hear Frasier Crane dictating everything that you think.
There are a few better voices on the planet than Kelsey Grammer, guys.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more.
I think, though, if you had to do something like you refuse to enter a room without somebody first walking in with a black placard with whatever the little interstitial is for that particular scene, that would probably be a sign you've watched too much Frasier.
It's true.
Thankfully, I have to admit that in this Frasier love, I'm kind of the odd man out. I remember watching intermittently Frasier during its entire run, first run. But I have not taken it to the level that you guys have. Now, Matt, I hate to make you reiterate this, but how did you come to love and appreciate Frasier? Was it just overall, or did you fall into it? Was it a wormhole?
No, it was a show that I passively was aware of and watched when it was on. And then when it came to Netflix, I feel like it was on Netflix 2.5, 3 years ago. I actually I was just like, you know what? I'll give this a whirl. I'm a big fan of Cheers. I'll give the Frasier a chance, and because it had won so many Emmys, and I'm a big fan of just general sitcom writing nerddom, and I was like, well, why have I never given this show a shot? And then I watched it and immediately fell in love with it. Much like Niles to Daphne, I fell in love with Frasier.
Aww.
But it took you less than 7 seasons to close the deal, I hope.
Yes, yeah. I closed the deal probably midway through season 1. I was ready to go.
There you go. Was it just one of the other mentions of her being psychic?
Psychic. Yeah, I wish they sort of did that more. They lose it. Season probably 4 through 6, 7. They sort of abandon it, and then I feel like after Niles and Daphne get together, they totally forget that she's psychic, or thinks she's psychic. But there's also there's a quick mention of her being a child star from Britain. And that's never mentioned again.
We hear so many of the little elements in Frasier, and I'm starting to feel like the writers of How I Met Your Mother just kind of picked little bits out and then expanded them more, something like that, because there was a whole thing with Colby Smulders' character being a teen sensation singer, like a mall singer in Canada.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, How I Met Your Mother probably they were right to lift from the greatest American sitcom of all time.
Matt, with the way your podcasts are trending, by the way, for those of you that do not know, Mr. Matt Mira, I first found out about you through the Nerdist podcast, and then because I have to admit, I was never a big watcher of G4. Yeah. So I did not fall into the attack of the show demo.
Attack of the show.
I'm guessing Trent was.
Dude, I freaking was stalking Chris Gore all weekend. I'm like, hey Chris. Oh, hi.
You stalked Chris Gore once, he will now stalk you. Chris Gore's desperate for people to stalk him.
Oh no. Yeah, congratulations! You'll probably start getting a retainer next week, Trent.
That's all. Well, just put it in with the rest of them.
Chris Gore's a lovely guy. He did DV Doomsday. That was a fun segment on Attack. It was. I was on Attack for the last couple years of that show.
Yeah.
And when Kevin left, I did some guest hosting of it. Kevin Pereira. Then we went quietly into the night.
Okay, now let's take this even back a step further, if you don't mind. So let's talk about how I was introduced to Matt Mira, which was, like I said, primarily through hearing you on the Nerdist podcast. Now, I have not, because there are so many of them, I have not listened to every episode of the Nerdist podcast. They're just...
Nor have I. I haven't even been at every one of them, so don't worry about it.
There's not... I don't think there's a way humanly possible. I mean, aren't they up in the 600s now? 700s?
We're in the 700s, probably around 750.
Holy crap. That's a lot of pod,
what's funny is I see people tweeting all the time that they're going through it one by one, and they'll mention things from like 4 years ago. It's fascinating that people are still finding it and starting it from the beginning.
A lot of people do that. They even do it with our shitty little podcast. So
you guys do a fine podcast. I put you on today in the car, and I did not turn on Howard Stern, which is what I usually do during podcasts.
Oh wow! I
bail out. And then I put on Stern.
I think that may have been high praise, Trent.
It was. Well, I mean, you did not bore me.
It's getting weird.
Well, I don't know though, because Matt, it could have possibly been one of those moments where it was like the Beverly Johnson interview, and you're like, you get in the car and you're like, oh shit, that again? Okay, I'll listen to NetHeads.
Yeah, what else we got on here?
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you, last week they were doing the Eric the actor retrospective on Howard 101, and it was so good. I was so bummed out when Friday came because it was over.
Yeah.
It was the best.
The quiet little pleasures that the Stern fans have. Hey, what do you think he's going to do with his? This is not the question I wanted to ask, but what do you think?
Sure.
What do you think he's going to do at the end of this contract?
Come back.
Yeah, you think he'll stick with Sirius?
Yeah, I think he'll stay, and he'll do probably, if not go down to 3 days a week forever. I think he'll come back just with a lesser workload.
Mm-hmm. If he could possibly achieve that. But now that he's
Well,
not
you know
doing
what? It's fascinating. Now that he's not on America's Got Talent, you'd think he's got some more capacity for the show. And it is sort of like it is fascinating every 5 years that this comes up with him, the whole threat of retirement. But it strikes me as though he's a guy who sort of would go crazy not having the outlet. And
Well,
I think the radio show is the outlet for him.
It's also part of the shtick, I think. No matter what, it's always and I don't think he's playing it up. It's just that the audience always asks, and so he's able to, if people are just in negotiations, he's able to say that, can play that it's coy. But I'm hoping he does re-up, even though I am even more of a passive listener than I ever have been, just like in the car. Anyway, I don't want to talk about Stern anymore. Because from my angle, I heard of you through the Nerdist podcast, and then I would hear mentions in the episodes I've listened to that you worked at the Genius Bar.
I sure did.
Now,
certified Apple technician.
Hold on,
mobile device, OS, and hardware. I could logic board out of a MacBook Pro in about 1 minute and 14 seconds.
Oh shit, son! No, wait, seriously, you have to get certified?
16 screws to get that thing out. You do, you do. Those are all certified technicians, or at least they were,
Is it
4
like,
years ago.
Is it like when Forrest Gump is taking his weapon apart? Everyone's just in the back of the Genius Bar, like going as fast as they can.
Always do that. We would always fucking race each other. And there are quite a few computers I have fixed in my day that are out in the world with less screws than they came in with.
I don't know where the fuck it went.
There's always, I think it was in Doc Hollywood. The mechanic in that said it best. He gives him his fixed car and then he hands him a box. He says, "There's some extras." It always happens. Okay, so Genius Bar certified technician.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get from there to being on Attack of the Show?
First
of all, was the Genius Bar a strategic job that you got, or was it just I got to pay the bills?
It was both. I came out. I came out to LA in end of 2006, and I needed a job, obviously. And my previous job that I had left in Massachusetts was funeral assistant. And I was like, well, do I want to go work at a funeral home in Los Angeles? And my answer was a resounding no. And it was between Starbucks and the Genius Bar, and I chose the Genius Bar. Again, I was looking for something that would give me health benefits, because guys, you got to be wise. You gotta play it right when you
tell me about it. This hernia is not fixing itself.
There you go. See, you're not getting any health insurance selling comics.
Not
it's
at all.
Ridiculous.
At all.
But yeah, so I decided to do the Genius Bar. Part of it was, I'll go work in the Genius Bar in the center of Los Angeles, and I'm sure I'll be able to meet people there that can maybe help my foster my dreams of being a comedy writer.
Mm-hmm.
So I started working at the Genius Bar, and then I essentially spent the first 2.5 years that I lived in LA going to at least one show at the UCB a week, sometimes two. So I would hang around the scene a lot, and
you worked the osmosis angle.
Yeah, started going to open mics, and then became friendly with people. And I'd see people at the shows, and then I would come back to work, and then sometimes those people would pop up at work, and then I would say hello to them there, and then I was a genius, so they'd always want to come see me. And that's that. Yeah, I met Hardwick. I sold Hardwick an iPod case. That's how I met Chris Hardwick.
I was hoping you were going to say a digital recorder of some kind, something.
No, it was an iPod case that had a stand so he could watch videos on his classic iPod.
I was
you were his porn caddy. That's nice, man.
I was hoping that you met him on like an accessory sale because like, I used to work at a Verizon store and we didn't make anything on phones. We only like commission wise only made things on like the accessories. It's like, oh no, man, you totally want this belt case. It's the shit.
Yeah, sadly, there was no commission to speak of at Apple.
Man.
So I did. I went over and said, "Hey, let me show you what's the best case." And it was Hardwick, and we became friendly from that point on.
And there you go. And the rest is history.
The rest is history or herstory. I don't see gender.
I appreciate that.
Fluid.
Yeah. And one of the things I've also learned from one of your many podcasts, Talk Salad and Scrambled Eggs, which I got to be honest is one of my favorite podcasts, even though I am in no way, shape, or form watching it along with Frasier.
Nor should you. You don't have to. That's the beauty of our terrible attention span.
That is the great thing of it. One of the other things that I learned, and I almost feel like you and I are now, I don't mean this in the creepy, I really want to Matt Myra skin suit kind of way. I think we're kind of kindred spirits, just generationally apart, because I have to this day still, if I had found it on Nick at Night, I would have been stuck watching it, a deep appreciation for the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. I actually was just watching last night. I watched there are 2 episodes that Don Rickles is on. It's essentially a 2-parter where he plays a guy. Rob and Laura are in an elevator with Don Rickles. Laura's pregnant. The elevator gets stuck. Classic sitcom trope. And then, but Rickles plays a guy that is trying to rob them. And the whole thing's the episode starts with them asking the writers asking Mel if they could get the production to pay for some prison outfits for a sketch because they're going to do a charity show at a prison because Rob's friend is in prison. Rob's friend turns out to be Don Rickles. We see a flashback to the whole robbing incident, and then the next episode they're at the prison. And of course, it's another excuse for Maury Amsterdam to play his cello, and for Mary Tyler Moore to dance, and it's a hoot. But Rickles is so good in it. But yeah, Dick Van Dyke Show, pinnacle, I think, of American sitcom history. I think that's really the advancement point for what we see today, even.
And it really did something to my then young mind, because it was one of those shows that came on right before the afternoon cartoons after school. So I would watch it because God knows I'm not going to be creative nor exercise. And even though so much of the humor in it was above me, I loved it. It was funny. It was clean, and the stories were easy to follow. And then occasionally you get a weird episode like the alien imposters one and the walnuts or eggs and all that nutty stuff.
That's great.
I
love that stuff.
I'm still convinced that episode was written because they just wanted to have a situation where Dick Van Dyke is reacting to a gigantic closet filled with walnuts.
You're probably not wrong.
That's what that writer's room was like. Guys, I had a great idea. We got to do this. How do we get there?
Yeah. Somebody probably spilled walnuts in the office, and Dick Van Dyke was like, hey,
Hey, that could be funny. Get that man a raise. So, Trent, I want to turn to you for just a second, because that was my main question for Matt, was just like, how do you get from Genius Bar to there? But then, it turns out is just proving the old adage in this world, it's not what you know, but who you know. And in this case, it was both for you, man. Well, yeah, you also should, be a normal, decent human being, and otherwise no one's gonna fucking talk to you.
If you know everyone but are a cunt, no one's gonna work with you.
Exactly.
Can somebody please tell me why nobody has given me this advice up to this point in my life?
It's that one piece that's been holding you back.
Why couldn't there just be one motherfucker to come up to me and just say, dude, if you could be a little less awkward, you might get somewhere.
Just a little less aggro and you'll be fine.
Aggro's my issue?
Just be socially capable. That's all I ask of human beings in the world.
And I have to admit too that other than tying into the fact that he did say he listened to us in his car, even if it was briefly earlier, Matt was just kind enough to appear on our show. He's got no agenda, nothing to pump, nothing to push, and and generally knows nothing about our show at all. So I really appreciate you being here. So I had my question answered. So Trent, is there a specific question you would like to ask Mr. Matt Mira of Nerdist and Talk Salad and so many other things? I mean, he's starting to get one of those longer and longer IMDb and LinkedIn profiles. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, but as you can see on IMDb, I am fantastic if anyone needs me to play himself.
Yeah, I was going to say. No, I actually had a question, an Attack of the Show question for you, man, if that's cool.
Yes, dude. Go for it.
Yeah, I had the Attack of the Show came to the university I was working at once, and I did video work and helped produce a segment that Candace came and did. It was for like a Spider-Man suit that we had made or whatever, so she could like.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
I do. I honestly remember that.
So anyway, it was she was like super nice and so rad and everything, and like was willing to like do stuff like to the extent that I was like, holy shit, dude, like, are you sure you're okay with her like hanging off the side of this wall like 30 feet in the air or whatever? Did you ever have to do anything like that, or was it all nice and cushy in the studio?
They kept me in the studio, rightfully so. They would say, I mean, I'd have to go do field stuff sometimes, like Comic-Con and stuff like that. Right. They'd send me out, but we would send Candace out of the studio a lot to go do field packages. I feel like we sent her swimming with dolphins, and it would get her out of the studio, and they'd come back with these like really fun little packages, and then we'd cycle in guest hosts to fill in for Candace, and it was just a way to sort of get the show feeling fresh and fun. But yeah, we sent Candace all over the place. I feel like Candace's like inaugural package was probably, if I remember correctly, it was. 9 times out of 10, our packages just involved sending hot girls to shoot guns or drive big trucks,
which is fine. Like it's
a great formula for success.
Hey, you know what, guys?
Failure. The channel doesn't exist anymore.
You're tearing down gender walls, my friend. That's what you were doing.
Yeah, it's true. Do you keep in touch with anyone from Attack the Show? I mean, granted, you guys make friends and everything, but is there anyone that you met via Attack of the Show that you're like, I need to meet up with them, monthly or whatever, go have a barbecue or something?
A couple of my best friends on the planet, Jerry Duggan, who wrote on Attack of the Show.
Oh my God, yeah, dude, comic book writer.
Yeah, Jerry Duggan, who now writes. He wrote Deadpool for Marvel. Now he's doing, I think, Chewbacca.
Yeah, and exactly. And I think next month, he's doing a new Carnage book.
Yep. Yeah. Jerry Duggan's one of my dearest friends, and he was a writer on Attack, and we had desks in very close proximity to each other, and it was a hoot. And then one of our line producer, Bernardo, he's also one of my best friends. He was the guy. If you watched it enough, you'll remember the time we shaved Bernardo's giant beard off on the show. And what's funny about the beard is we kept it. He kept it. We had it in a Ziploc bag, all the beard clippings, and we didn't get rid of it until the show got canceled. Like it sat in a Ziploc bag at his desk until the show got canceled. It was terrific, and of course, still very friendly with our EPs and the writers. Casey was great, our head writer. Blair Butler is amazing. I still talk to Blair. Kevin, I still see all the time at different events and things like that. Kevin and I are very friendly. It was honestly the best group of people I've ever worked with. That Attack of the Show team. Because we were all sort of in the trenches together doing this weird show, and we were on 50 weeks a year. We were only dark 2 weeks a year, and we had to put on 5 hours of live television every week. So we got We got to
It
be real close.
translated. It really did. Like there were so many of us that were just like, fuck. when it went out, because like seriously, like it was a show that you could watch that had good production that wasn't overproduced. You know what I mean? It had this organic feel to it. You could tell everyone was having fun, but at the same time didn't feel like, oh, this guy's making them say that and the other.
Towards the end, it got to be like, I got bleeped on air, I think, 4 times the entire run. And then we did this the third to last week we were on, we had to do these Black Friday deals because I was the tech guy, so I'd run you through all the Black Friday sales going on the brochure. And in rehearsal, I jokingly drew a dick on the teleprompter circling an ad, and they laughed, but it was the kind of thing of like, it's funny, don't do it on the air. And then we were in the midst of the live segment, and then that segment was supposed to last, I think we were given 3 minutes, but I think it goes 8 minutes because I was just drawing dicks.
Yeah, I think that's one of the few segments of Attack of the Show I think I've seen. It was video after the fact, but oh god.
Yeah. So imagine that during live, like that live. It's funny too because like we all had IFB, we had in-ear mics. So our EP or usually Bernardo, our line producer, Bernardo was in charge of making sure the show ran on time. So he'd cut segments on the fly. He'd be like, okay, we're going right to commercial. You got 10 seconds, blah, blah, blah. But he tried to give me a time cue in the middle of that. And all I heard was him laughing, which I never heard him ever laugh into my ear like that. And so that was one of the most fun things I've ever had the pleasure of doing on television, was drawing dicks with John Barrowman.
Oh my! I can't. Yeah, see, that's the other reason why I definitely know I've seen the clip, and it's not very often you get to do that with one of the Doctor's companions. So
yeah, it's very true. Captain Jack Harkness and I were
right
just
there,
laughing at dicks, chewing each other's gum. It was a real weird segment, and we were all a little loopy. It was like one of the last shows before Thanksgiving, and it was a delight. That was a super fun job, and we all were miserable, at times doing it just because of the grueling schedule and how fast we had to turn things around.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that we'd all miss it when it was over, and we all miss it.
And not to rub salt in the wound, but even this far out from the fact, they had alleged plans for what they were changing the channel into, and then they didn't do that. So it's like,
yeah. It was supposed to turn into the Esquire network, and then they decided to pull Style Network off the air and turn that into Esquire network. And then G4 sort of lived on life support for a little while, where they would just run reruns of mostly X-Play, because you couldn't rerun Attack of the Show because we were a news sort of program. So we used a lot of clips and stuff under the fair use argument, so we couldn't re-air it. So we never re-aired really, but it would just be like you'd be 2 years out watching an X-Play where they're talking about a Madden game that was a year and a half old. It was crazy. But the hilarious thing, somebody said this to me, and I don't know if it's factual or not, but I like to imagine that it is. I heard that the channel's ratings did not change.
oh my god.
So what I imagine happened was there was like, because you know how the rating system works, it's the Nielsen box, there's X number of Nielsen boxes, whatever. What I imagine is we had 5 dudes in their basement who were watching a G4 and died with the television on.
Stayed on.
And no one else was watching us, and the show kept going under those guys of these 5 dudes that had Nielsen boxes that died of probably a heart attack while they were watching G4.
And naturally, all of their stuff is covered by an estate, so the bills just keep getting unpaid, and nobody knows.
Yeah, it was a weird. Yeah, that's what I imagine happened. So somewhere out there, someone's still tuned into a dead channel.
Oh, that's awesome.
No, sorry, I buffered there. Anyway,
What is, stop buffering. That's gross.
I apologize.
Yeah, you've got a cam even now, man. Do that on Chatterbait.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. So now, Matt, you've kind of I don't know everything you do now because I know that you were a writer on At Midnight. Are you still a writer on At Midnight or no?
No, I left at the beginning of May. I took the summer cycle off, and the fall cycle is starting up next week, but I also have decided to not come back for that. I have other things that I want to get going and want to be doing. But yeah, I was over there for 2 years, just about. And it was fun, but it turned into a thing where writing for that show, doing Attack of the Show for so long. We also did a TV version of the Nerdist for BBC America for a couple of years.
Yep.
And I just got to the point where I felt like I had written, said, or seen people say every conceivable joke about the internet. So I just felt like I just felt like I needed a change of pace and a change of scenery.
In other words, around you now, the term hashtag could turn lethal.
Yeah, it's just not something I care to engage in. And it's not something, I imagine for people, I'm sure people are annoyed by the hashtag war every night. And, if they think they're annoyed by that, imagine trying to write them.
Well, and I can imagine, you get into any type of monologue style writing, it does become formulaic at a point.
Yeah, it just, and it was just something where I was like, I need a break from this. I'm sort of at my wit's end, and decided to take time off, and then I decided to take even more time off from that. Because I want to work on other things. I mean, with a love of sitcoms as deep as my own, I feel like it's time for me to write a sitcom. So,
especially after the last the live Talk Salad and Scrambled Eggs, we got to see what it may be like.
Yeah, it's that was a hoot. That was a fun thing that we decided to do handedly, and we're gonna do it again in Tampa. We're gonna do another live Talk Salad. And hope the audience is prepared to play the wonderful roles that we cast them in.
Now, Matt, one of the things that you are more than likely not aware of, but my wonderful co-host is, because I told him at the time, during the live Talk Salad and Scrambled Eggs, there was some question about how the video would get up on screen, and we wanted to make sure everything would be covered. So you showed up with the DVD. And I also sent playable digital files of the episodes.
Correct.
And one of the only disappointing things in the fact that those digital files, or a good thing because I'm still employed, about those digital files not being used, is that it turns out you can edit the closed captioning file that you include with digital recordings. Did you know that?
Oh my God, that's amazing!
So
it makes sense that you can edit them. That's fantastic.
So
I wish that I had played yours.
It wasn't too much. It just said, "Welcome to Talk Salad and Scrambled Eggs." Oh, look, the elevator's going up the Space Needle. That was all I did for the first one. And if you had done 2 episodes that night, it would have said, "Welcome to the second episode. How much Terminator did they talk about in the last half hour?"
Oh, that's great. I wish that happened.
Well, now I can officially ruin ever pulling that gag off again. Boy, I'm glad I told you that.
Try it in Tampa.
Now, I have to ask you a question in relation to Talk Salad and Scrambled Eggs.
Yes.
Exactly at what point did the show title go from joke to actual concept?
It was a joke. So I was on at midnight. It might have been the first time I appeared or the second time I appeared. The speed game was failed podcasts, and I was just doing long, like, stupid jokes, and the failed podcast that I had decided would be hilarious would be if a podcast was called Talk Salad and Scrambled Megs, and it was a podcast about the streaming speeds for wherever you can get Frasier.
I'm so glad that's not the show.
So and then when Kevin and I decided to hatch the crazy plan of actually doing this podcast, I said, let's call it Talk Salad and Scrambled Eggs, and he was like, let's do it. Let's call it Talk Salad and Scrambled Eggs. And then he added Frasier Reconsidered, and I said, that's pretty long, but okay.
Yeah, those 2 extra words. I don't know, boss. Even though I think the official title is Talk Salad and Scrambled Eggs, Frasier Reconsidered with Matt Mira and Kevin Smith.
Our beautiful artwork is so fucking wordy. It's ridiculous.
I love it though. I love it. I love the way it's it's kind of you guys also making up that famous Seattle skyline that was on every opening.
Yeah.
And again, too, folks, if I'm sure the majority of the audience exists of people that are consuming something probably before they listen. And if that's the case, great. I'm just saying more people, if that's what you're doing, it's the podcast. You don't need to even like Frasier to listen to this podcast. That's the great thing about it.
However, if you don't like Frasier, you might be dead inside.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think we make a podcast for the people, and what's fun about our podcast is we seemingly please no one because it's the super Frasier fans are mad that we're talking not enough about Frasier, and then the people who don't like Frasier are annoyed that we're talking about Frasier too much. So we are literally making a podcast for 2 people, and their names are Kevin and Matt.
That's not true, because I know I thoroughly enjoy it. Now, also in listening to that, though, since this is a limited run podcast, if you will, with a predetermined number of episodes that could always be moved or adjusted due to people like Matt Levine or Perry Gilpin.
Ken Levine.
Ken Levine, sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. It's a great concept. One of the things I've noticed in listening, that even though he is a fan of Lisa Kudrow, Kevin has not listened to Friends, or watched Friends. So perhaps after this run, you could do like I'll Be There for You, Friends Reconsidered.
Here's my thing. I do not. I enjoyed Friends when it was on. Like, I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I watched it, a lot. But I am afraid to overanalyze that program and to see the Matrix Code for what it is. That is not. Because in passing, I've sort of like flipped by and watched it for 12 seconds, and I've just never. I'm afraid of it. It does have my favorite sitcom joke ever, though, and I might have said this on the pilot episode of Talk Salad, but my favorite sitcom one-liner in the history of sitcoms comes from Friends, and Chandler walks into the room. It might be in the first season. Chandler walks into the room, and someone says, "Guess what?" And Chandler says, "The 5th dentist caved, and now they all prefer Crest."
Oh God, I know exactly which. This is how sad my life is. I know exactly which joke you're talking about.
Yeah, that's my favorite joke. I don't know why. That's just stuck in my head since the night it aired, and I'll always hold that up as one of my favorite, if not my favorite, sitcom joke of all time.
They have a lot of good jokes for each character as well, though. I don't know why it will be forever ingrained in my brain, but it was the episode where they keep eating the neighbors' cheesecakes because they keep getting delivered to the apartment.
Yeah, the New York cheesecakes. That's right.
And the stinger of it is that they're on the ground eating the last one, and this one got dropped. So they're eating it literally off of the floor. And Matt LeBlanc's Joey comes walking up, and he looks down, and without missing a beat, pulls a fork out of his back pocket and says, "What are we talking about here?" or something along those lines. It was just a great play, forever stuck in my brain. But God, I even remember that joke. Oh boy. So it's okay. So that's good to know. That pitch has been slammed down. I'll go back to the drawing board and see if I can think of more.
I don't I have as of this date in time, I feel like in no way, shape, or form will this be our last podcast together. I feel like Kevin and I feel like Kevin and I have plenty in us.
Well, that's good. Well, I know, but you do have other podcasts as well, because for example, you do James Bonding, which is coming up on it's coming up on a pending hiatus, right?
It is coming up. It's coming up on. We have 2. We're recording this week, and then we're gonna do some. We're gonna do either the longest episode of a podcast in the history of podcasts, or the most overdone podcast. Our plan is to see Spectre and record a podcast around the day seeing Spectre, and our plan is to record before we see Spectre, after we see Spectre, and after we see Spectre a second time.
Yes.
But it's also all of the audio from the moment you wake until the moment you go to bed too, right? So it's everything, the whole day.
Well, we are gonna, we're not far off from that. We're gonna sort of try to stack it with as many guests as we can, sort of get people to come along with us to the theater to see these things, and I think it'll be a hoot.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain a little bit, man, if you don't mind.
Uh-huh.
If you do mind, just tell me to fuck off and we'll move on. But I'm sure people are wondering, because as you've mentioned, now you have the flexibility to be able to say to at midnight, I got other things I'm going to pursue right now, so I'm going to skip this cycle. And so I guess the question that people would really have is that, as a guy who is on a lot of podcasts now, what is a day in the life like for Matt Mira now?
Well, it's interesting because I take a lot of meetings around town, so that's always part of my day. And it essentially, my day is controlled by my calendar. So, like, for instance, I'll give you this week. What is today? The 28th is coming. Okay, so tomorrow I go to the gym at 10. At 1 o'clock, I have a podcast at Nerdist. With Matt Bronger as our guest, and then after 1 o'clock, I have nothing to do until Brian Quinn is ready to hang out, because I made that evening free because he's going to be in town. But like Tuesday, for instance, there's 2 Nerdist podcasts at 1 o'clock and 6 o'clock. I have a guitar lesson in there. Wednesday, I have meetings with various production companies about some things. It's sort of, I get to be a guy that is in line for coffee at 11 o'clock in no real rush.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. The days the alarm has to go off at, say, like 9 a.m., do you grab it and just yell how much it's bullshit and resent it?
Oh, no, not at all. I tend to, when I go to usually I'll go to the gym at 7, and if I go to the gym at 7 a.m., I wake up at 5:40. I have no problem getting up super early. It's never really been a problem for me. I don't mind that. And my fiance, very, very soon to be wife, she often has to get up at the crack of 6. So it's not a big problem for me to wake up.
Are you in one of those relationships where you're in a relationship with a normie? Like you're an entertainer, but they have a regular 9-to-5 job, without revealing too much.
She's also verified on Twitter, guys. She is a writer. She was executive editor of BuzzFeed.
Okay.
So she's it's what's nice about her is that we sort of orbit the same world. Like, our conversations can be similar, but hers is very media centric, like literal media centric. Like, oh, did you hear the Daily News fired this person? And what's going on over at Gawker, whatever it is. And mine is sort of entertainment, La La Land.
But you're having the important thing is you're having similar lifestyles. It's not like you're you're not calling the office at 2 o'clock in the afternoon just to check in, ask her where the hummus went.
No, she's probably at a lunch meeting or somewhere else, and we have I think we very nicely fit into each other's lives. But I think that if I do ever get the sitcom thing rolling, I don't know if she's prepared for how little she will see me.
I think
Because
you mean
that's-
when you get
Yeah.
it going, Matt. When you get it going.
Very, very good positive thinking, guys. I like it.
You got to strike that if from your vocabulary, buddy.
Yeah, when I get a show, I'm not going to be home for 16 to 17 hours a day.
But that's kind of, isn't that kind of the world you've been in anyway with the both Attack of the Show and
No, Attack of the Show. The beauty of Attack of the Show and At Midnight is we always our schedules were as such as we shot at the same time every day. We shot Attack of the Show at 4 p.m., 7 p.m. East Coast time, and we were live. And at 5 p.m., we went to a post-show meeting for about 30 minutes, and then I got the fuck out of there. And at midnight, we shoot around 4:30 in the afternoon, and we'd shoot till about 5:15, and then once again, I get the fuck out of there.
Oh, nice.
So it wasn't. These were as far as TV schedules go, daily schedules go. Two of the best schedules in television were the Attack of the Show and At Midnight schedule. But I have friends who write on sitcoms and who write in television, and they are working God knows how long. They're ordering dinner and they're there since 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's a brutal. It can be a brutal schedule.
So you know what's up and coming. You know where
I'm aware of what's happening and what will be around the corner if I get what I am asking for.
You're the kid that's just waiting to turn 18, and you've got to go to boot camp, and you don't care.
Yeah, no, I'm ready.
Right on, man. And upcoming nuptials. So what is it? Wow. So what is your life like having to plan around? Because I assume you get married, you have a honeymoon, but you have all of these commitments. So
well, the beauty of some of my commitments is like the Nerdist podcast. They function without me just fine. So they'll be recording plenty while I'm gone. Kevin and I have to cram in a couple episodes this week and next week to make up for the time that I'm gone. I essentially have told everybody don't attempt to contact me because I will not be in this country.
Okay, good. So I'll be sure to send you an email once every day.
Oh, yeah, please ask me about the next Phoebe or whatever.
Exactly. You know what, Matt? I don't want to keep you anymore. And there is some bit of business that Trent also wanted to talk about. I'm sure you don't want to sit through that because you might. I don't know. But this weekend in Salt Lake City was the big Salt Lake Comic-Con, which I'm not sure if you're aware.
Oh, I did not know there was a Salt Lake Comic-Con, but I assure you Ming Chen was probably there.
No, he wasn't.
No, it's the same week as Baltimore Con, so he was in Baltimore, I think.
Oh, he just went to the closer one. Guys,
totally.
If you want it's like if they build it, they will come. If you have a con. Ming and Mike Zapsik.
He's like the Seidler from Seinfeld. He just shows up at someone's booth like, "Hey, I'm here."
He's there in his Black Sox uniform, ready to play in that cornfield.
I can't think of a better analogy than that.
Oh, shit.
But we wanted to give Trent a chance to. Trent, is there any other questions you have for our esteemed guest before we let him return to his Sunday?
No, just talk about the best 200th episode of NetHeads ever, dude.
And the only 200th episode of NetHeads ever, guys. I don't know if you're aware how numbers work.
I only have English degrees, not math degrees. I'm sorry.
Matt, I'll remind you that we work for a man who successfully had 2 number 300 episodes of SModcast.
True. Very true.
That's very true.
This is podcasting, man. We make the rules. If the next 10 episodes are number 200, the next 10 are number 200. But there will only have been one guest that will have kicked those 10 200s off, though, and that, sir, is you, Mr. Matt Mira.
Thank you, Will, and thank you, Trent, for letting me bullshit with you on a Sunday.
Oh my God, dude, I couldn't be happier about it.
You know, Matt, Go on.
If the week starts, I'm going to say, if the week starts on a Sunday, as most calendars do, this is the first of 10 podcasts I'm recording this week. So you guys got yourself the freshest Matt Myra there's going to be.
Oh, wow. Look at that. And, Matt, too, I got to tell you, we greatly appreciate your taking the time on your Sunday to come join us. And more importantly, we deeply appreciate, hopefully, at least the next 3 tweets that you may make about your appearance on this show throughout the week. I'm
Guys,
just saying.
When does this? We're not on Sir right now. It's not live, right? It's just.
Oh,
do you guys drop?
it's live as live, my friend. We're everywhere right now.
That's how we roll, bro.
Guys, no one told me that.
I told you.
I wanted you to edit out most of what I said.
Well, the good news is we at least control the content, and I'm sure there's only like 3 people that have caught it so far, so we can have them snuffed out real easy, Matt. Don't worry.
Real quick.
Well, if they need to be snuffed out, be sure to use the hashtag NetHeads.
There you go.
So I can, and I will snuff them out myself. Guys, it's been a pleasure, and good luck on your next 200 episodes.
Thank you, Matt. Greatly appreciate it. And
now go talk about Salt Lake City Comic-Con.
We will, and thank you for your time,
I
sir.
am not going to hear it. I've been to enough cons. Bye, guys.
Yes.
Goodbye. I said good day, sir.
Good God, Niles.
And that is, my friends,
Nice.
Mr. Matt Myra.
Nice.
I hope you appreciate the little surprise that I put together, Trent.
I loved it. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Good. Yeah. I hope you don't feel that because I know you were excited. We have Salt Lake Comic-Con, and we're going to be able to talk about all the cool stuff that happened. And I hope you don't feel this overshadowed. I just wanted to do something special because the opportunity was there, and because I felt in my heart of hearts that you were a fan of Mr. Matt Myra, and I thought it might be.
Yes. Yeah, that is correct, sir.
So now you can say that you have co-hosted a podcast in a way with Mr. Matt Myra.
Yeah, in a way, I can. Yeah, I could say that.
By the way, that is
though.
that is the only way that I can pronounce his name is as Mr. Matt Myra.
Right. No, you have to. Otherwise, you're talking about a BMX star from the 2000s and 90s.
Yeah, exactly. And we wouldn't want to confuse one with the other now, would we?
No, because I have one's video game for the Dreamcast, and one has a bunch of podcasts that I have. So equally.
Okay, now Trent, the funnest thing about putting this entire thing together, and once again, I got to say thank you very much to Matt Myra for taking the time today. Really, really wonderful. Really appreciate it. Especially since, again, he had absolutely positively no reason or benefit to sitting in on this. So
Yeah, except that it's a Sunday. And what else are you doing at Sunday?
Well,
he's probably got football in mute the whole time.
Well, that's the saddest thing about this, and I'm glad we didn't bring this up in front of our guests because, I've been sitting in here recording a podcast while my wife has been outside watching sports on the big screen.
Yes.
That's how manly I am, folks. Also, I apologize. Things started off a little shaky because there's another little funny thing. As I said, having Matt Myra on was a surprise. I wanted to surprise Trent with it. It made 200 special. More so than being 200, because to us, let's face it, folks. If you caught episode 100, these centennials don't exactly rank high in our like special event. No,
Oh my God!
Kesney had 200, and they had a big game show and sponsors and prizes. No, we got Matt Myra though, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we did.
But I was setting it up as a surprise. So I had the complicated issue of balancing Trent's expectations, because traditionally I'm late. So I was actually sitting here early on time, whatever, because I needed to get Matt on the line first.
Right.
And I had to ask him to mute his line. But then I switched going from just audio to also doing video, and I threw that curveball at Trent. But I look over, I'm waiting for him to show up. This is a surprise. I'm telling Matt it'll just be a few more minutes. I can't, don't worry about it. Oh, good, Trent's there. At the moment I saw that you were there, I didn't know if you could hear Matt or not. So, were you able to hear him? Did you?
The only thing I heard him say was, "And Kevin's just down the street, so it works out."
And what did you think? Did you have an idea then? You're like, wait a second, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, well, I was just like, wait, he's talking to, huh? And then that's when I was like, surely Andy lives farther away than that, and it's not that, and it didn't sound like Andy. We'll see where this is going.
Yeah, so you knew I was going to reveal somebody, but then
Yeah.
well, now you've taken it somewhere awkward because I have to ask: were you disappointed that it was not Andy McElfresh?
No, oh my God, no. I'm a big Matt fan. Obviously, going kind of stalking him a little bit during the Attack of the Shows days. As I'm still stalking Candace Bailey, waiting for her to return those calls.
I gotta admit, during the interview, I was a little worried if the whole direction you were going in your Candace questioning was so. Matt, I was just wondering, do you have her phone number?
Actually, it was funny. When we were doing photo shoots and promotional stuff for that, it was after we had gone and gotten some lunch, and we came back and we were shooting, and we had to go back and reshoot some stuff because she'd forgotten to take her wedding ring off.
Ooh.
Yep. So we had to go back and reshoot some stuff because gotta keep that wedding ring off in all the shots.
Okay, so we've learned a few things throughout the time of this show. One, don't go gay for the stay. Not this show, but our overall run for the 200. Don't go gay for the stay, and no wedding band for the pay. Gotcha.
I like, yes.
All right, now we know. So anyway, Trent, I'm glad we could put together. I could actually think of something that was a cool surprise. And honestly, Matt made the other reason why I really appreciate him doing this is because he literally just made the offer 2 days ago, because we were actually talking about something else that was actually business related.
Oh, yeah.
But he made the offer, and at first I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be great. Thanks. Really appreciate that. And then I suddenly realized, holy shit, what am I saying? In a couple days. I'm like, for the love of God, please, what are you doing Sunday? Are you available? Anything, please? I'll put it in my mouth, I swear. And he did.
He didn't put it in my
no.
On the show.
He came on the show. But anyway, Trent, other than that, also it is really cool that immediately after episode 200, you also got to go to Salt Lake Comic-Con this year, and I got to tell you, one of the things, first of all, and this is nothing against Salt Lake Comic-Con, but always whenever it becomes con time, I unfollow you on Twitter, and then after con is over, about a week, I refollow you because I enjoy the intermittent stuff. But man, when con is on, you swamp my feed like a flood.
Yeah, and I didn't even tweet this year.
No, you didn't. No, I'm just talking about the con itself and their Twitter. But anyway.
Yes. No, I know exactly what you mean. Salt Lake Comic-Con, yes.
Now, but one of the things I did do is I took a look at the layout, and I like what they did this year because they took the Artist Alley and they stuck it around the other corner. Yep. So you actually have to almost, if you will, walk the entire con.
Yes, to get down to the photo ops.
Yeah, so that was really cool. And the other cool thing about this, I don't know if anyone's aware, but you revealed this on the last episode, you were not selling. This year you were just going as an attendee and a panelist.
Yeah, it was so much less stressful. Oh my gosh. But it was great though too. I was able to pop in and help out with Jonathan's booth a little bit for Rattle Can Art, and then I got to hang out in the green room a whole bunch and just like relax. And the other dude, it was Saturday. Like Thursday and Friday they were busy. They were pretty busy. But Saturday, there were so many fucking people on the floor. And luckily I had the chance to see and buy everything and talk to everyone I wanted to. I just like hid.
It was one of those situations where it was just bodies and cosplay.
It really was though. Like you couldn't, if you wanted to go somewhere, you had to say, it was just a constant, excuse me, sorry, can I get through, excuse me.
You literally have to look at the map and strategically say, I'm nearest to this exit. This is where we're going. I don't care that I have to walk around 4 other buildings when I go out that exit. Yeah. I'm going to do it because I'll get there a half hour sooner.
It was like, and it was weird because the first 2 days, Thursday and Friday, I felt like there was fewer attendance than in past years. But then on Saturday, it was just ridiculous. So many people there. Very, very cool. Chris Evans was there. And Haley Atwell. They were kind of Sebastian Shaw, like the the Captain America team were there. Yeah. So that was kind of like their big thing. John Barrowman, of course, was there again this year. Alan Tudyk, I talked to him for a couple of seconds in the green room. It was cool. Everyone was really yeah, it's con mentality. Everyone's so stoked and so happy to be there that everyone seems to just fucking love it.
Now, what is the best amateur cosplay that you saw? That's always my favorite question to ask.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think. There was a really good, and this is the Marvel nerd, and I'll post the pictures up later. But there was a really good Ares. So the Marvel version of Ares, the God of War. A guy had made like a full-on like Centurion helmet and had like a breastplate that had like the big skull and crossbones on it, and he had a huge axe. He pulled that off really well. There was in fact, one of my friends, she did and I will definitely post pictures of this. She did a Scarecrow from Arkham Knight.
Ooh.
And she like her husband is an engineer. Okay. And so they had like full on like the glove with the like the hypodermic needles on each finger that would like retract and come back.
Oh my Lord.
And like tubes coming up to like cylinders of fluid that were like neon green, and holy shit, that was probably the best costume I saw of the whole thing. It was really, really well done.
Very nice. Very nice. How many Spider-Gwens did you see?
Crazy, right? Like there's a comic book that's not even a year old. Well, yeah, maybe a year old now, and everyone's dressing up as Spider-Gwen. There were quite a few, but it was cool because wherever there was a Spider-Gwen, there was a Miles Morales and a Silk. Like all three of them were all together all the time. Whenever someone did it, yeah.
They're like, I wonder if they glommed onto one another at the con or they planned ahead of time.
I don't know. Maybe there's like there's a Weber app. It's like Grindr, just for Spider-Man cosplayers.
If there's not, Trent, for the love of God, get it made, please. Weber for hooking up with all of your Spider-Man fans.
Yes, for all your spider needs.
Oh, that's just genius. What another great thing coming out of episode 200, folks. By the way, don't forget tonight as well is the Super Blood Moon, so good luck with that.
That's right, yeah.
I think this is the sign. By the way, I feel like this year is the year of the supermoon. I feel like I've never heard about the supermoon before, and now there's been like 20 of them this year, I think.
Yeah. In fact, the last time we had one, I went and took. It's cool if you've got a digital camera, go and take pictures of it, and then when you get back in the house, like look at it at the actual 100% size. You can see some weird shit on the moon, dude. Like from Earth, it's cool.
You sound like a stone guy describing the dollar bill. Have you looked at all this shit going on there, man?
Like, look, it's the Illuminati, man.
I do have a nice digital camera, so I will make it a point to take a picture of it tonight, Trent. I will do that. Anyway, the Spider-Gwen costume, getting back to that, I'm not surprised, though, because if you think about it, it is a relatively easy costume to cosplay. But it's also an exceptionally cool design.
It is, yeah. They did a killer job on it, so that everyone was lucky with that for sure.
Well, I think I also saw a picture from the con of one Spider-Man, and then one of them was what is it? The Freedom Foundation, the Frontier.
Oh yeah, the FF, yeah, the Future Foundation.
Yeah, the Future, the white Spider-Man with the black spider,
which is my favorite Spider-Man costume.
I gotta say, I really dig it too. If I were to be svelte enough for a Spider-Man costume again, I would go for that one, or maybe the Miles Morales one, because the black and red is also kind of dope.
Yeah, it looks really cool. In fact, there was one kid that was dressed up as Miles Morales, and it's great because Miles Morales in the comics, he has a web backpack. He's made a backpack out of webbing that he can put his clothes in. And this kid had taken, like one of those drawstring shoe bags that you get it for, Foot Locker or whatever. And he had glued thin pieces of rope just over and over and over and over and over until from a distance it looked just like the webbing. It was really cool. Yeah, that one I geeked out over a little bit.
Very nice. Okay, so Trent, here's the question. Time not being a limitation, money not being a limitation.
Yes.
And taking into consideration your current physical makeup.
Yeah.
What would be your what would you have cosplayed as if you would do that?
Okay, well, there's two that I really want to do. WWE fans will be familiar with Bray Wyatt, and I have like very similar hair and beard and build to this professional wrestler. That one would be very easy to do, and it would be fun. Oh, I also met some professional wrestlers there at the con too. Anyway, but I've always wanted to do this other one, but I think it would be lost on people, and that's why I've never done it. Is the sad fat Spider-Man cosplayer. like I want to be like the tight kids Spider-Man suit that doesn't fit me and my guts hanging out, and I'm really stoked about Comic-Con the whole time. But I don't think people would understand that it's a cosplay of a cosplay.
Well, and Trent, that's the thing too. If you remember last year, I wasn't able to attend the con because I was sick. And I'll tell you, out in the garage right now still is what I would consider to be the absolute worst Batman costume I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
And I intentionally bought it so that it would be the costume I would wear to our panel.
Oh,
because
nice.
it is so horrible. And I was going to be playing it as the clueless cosplayer. So in other words, I literally thought, oh, well, I need Batman costume. I get this one.
Yeah.
He's Batman, yes? And no. Batman, it looks more like bondage Batman, to be honest, with a pair of discotheque bikini panties. Woo! It's some sexy stuff. So I've still got, should I ever make it out there for Salt Lake Comic Con, I promise you I'm breaking that bad boy out.
We'll tag team that bitch.
Oh, there is nothing. Can you imagine too if it just the pictures we would get of sad fat cosplay Spider-Man and sad fat cosplay Batman.
We're just like, oh, I really like Batman. Do you work for Batman?
It's the Unwonder Twins. So what was the biggest takeaway? Just to quickly wrap it up. What's biggest takeaway from con? What was it? What do you think? What did you hear was the big drop dead thing from the Salt Lake Comic Con?
One of the best things I did was I was able to go into, and I'm not a player of the game, but I appreciate it and I love what they're doing. The Disney Infinity 3.0, which is launched. The design team is based here in Utah in Salt Lake. And so they had all the designers and the writers that are here in Utah on a panel, and they gave out 900 free Infinity figures, some of which haven't been released yet, to everyone that was in the panel. That was really, really cool. This, if I were into playing video games, this would be the game to play, man, because the Star Wars stuff that they're doing and the Marvel stuff that they're doing now, and the little hints, they're like, oh, you can't really say yet because it hasn't been announced, blah, blah, blah. Like, they have got their shit so dialed in. That was very, very cool. And then everyone just went gaga over the Chris Evans panel, of course, obviously.
Oh, sorry. From the We Are Not Here to Please You podcast, Raphael Nowak says, Bondage Batman, I fucking need that comic book series right now.
Yes.
Well, cool, man. Yeah, I gotta say, it's gonna be interesting this year to see how the battle pans out between this year. It will be interesting between Disney Infinity 3.0 and the Lego Dimensions.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's true.
Because Lego Dimensions, I can unlock Marty and Doc Lego from Back to the Future. There's it's a lot of it's one of those things where you're kind of surprised that with Minecraft and with Disney Infinity, it's taken this long to get what I'll call the themed Lego Minecraft simulator.
Right. Yeah.
With game levels included. But it's a natural progression, and I got to tell you right now, it's a toss up for me on which one that I'm going to want to go with, because yeah, sure, it's exciting the thought of having Yoda and Captain America playing with one another. Let me rephrase that. Yeah,
well, with lightsabers too.
There you go. That can happen. Can you imagine Captain America with a fucking lightsaber?
Yeah. So I want to say it was at the end of, and they talked about this Infinity 1.0. If you unlocked everything, you then got lightsabers for your characters that you can then bring into all the other versions. And the lightsaber is the most powerful weapon, where one strike, you get 10% damage. Two strike, it kills everything in 3 strikes.
Oh,
so it's
my gosh.
it's 10%, 5%, 2,000,000%, and then it's dead.
Disney Infinity with epic weapons. Who would have thought it, right, Trent?
Yeah. Well, I think that you just have to get them both. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, definitely.
You gotta catch them all.
Well, that's exactly. And that's the point too. That's where they know. They're like, Lego says it doesn't matter that we're putting this out. They'll buy it. It doesn't matter that they'll have Disney Infinity. They'll have this too. We don't care.
It's true.
We get all the money. You get
It's
nothing.
true.
But it's with Disney Infinity 3, is this one of those things where I'm finally going to have to bump up to an Xbox One?
Yep. Yes, I believe so, actually. And
Mhm.
and they actually talked about that. Why the Wii's had so many problems and everything. And they said there's just it doesn't have the space available. And if they eventually move away from the discs to where if you just want to buy digitally, the game will eventually probably run a lot smoother and go a lot faster and everything else. That it was really interesting to see that side of the development. And the other thing they said too is like the Wii runs so differently than Xbox One, PlayStation 4, that it would be like trying to put all of the Ferrari parts into like
A Volkswagen chassis.
yeah, no, exactly. Like they said, they're so different. You just have to rebuild it from the ground up, and they just don't have the time and investment to do that. So.
Well, and my Nintendo Wii is dead, so who
Right.
cares?
Yes.
That's why I just have to ask, when but let's face it, the reality is, if I'm lucky enough to be able to get an Xbox One, right, that just means the R2D2 Xbox 360 is going to move into the office, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's not bullshit a bullshitter here, folks.
No.
Or maybe or in the ultimate kiss of death, it'll go to the upstairs bedroom.
Right.
Hold on, honey. Let me just conquer this level. Well, you may as well conquer that level because you will conquer nothing else in this room ever again.
Because that's all the conquering that's happening, sir.
Very well played. Well, anyway, Trent, I think episode 200 has come to a close. We've ridden a great ride. We got to hear about Khan, and we reminded people to go to deathraycomics.com and go ahead and take advantage of some of the amazing deals. And if you're traversing through Logan, Utah, stop by deathraycomics.com or Death Ray Comics. And don't forget, go to NetHeads on air for all the links about shit that we want you to click. Until next time, folks, my name is Will.
I'm Trent.
And you've been listening to another edition of NetHeads here at
SModcast.com.
Hell no.
No, that was right. Sorry, that was wrong.
Yeah,
key.
no, that was right.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker signing off.
I know, right? But stop being a little Nancy and deal with it.
NetHeads. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.
This has been a production of Smodco Internet Radio. Sir, only at smodcast.com.
I'm so glad the surprise didn't get screwed up.
Yeah, no, that was perfect. This is great.
I'm glad it played out well. Do you feel you got enough time talking to him? Was it a good interview?
Oh my God, I feel I just wanted to be like, okay, just play cool, don't say too much. It was for example, like I was standing there talking to in the green room, Alan Tudyk, and my friend who is a producer, locally in Salt Lake, walks up to talk to me as well, and then sees that I'm talking to Alan Tudyk. He's like, "Oh, hi, I'm a really big fan." And then Alan's like, "Well, I'm gonna go over here now."
Congratulations, you scared him off, newbie.
So my goal now is just play it as cool as possible.
Oh, but you were you nerding out on the inside?
Oh yeah, but like he just kind of walked up and was and I didn't even acknowledge, I know who you are. I'm just like, oh yeah, it's good con. If you enjoyed yourself, you know what I mean. And then my friend was like, I'm like, oh shit.
There you go. You've learned the most important part, sir, which is don't be a fucking lingerer and just address the immediate and don't freak out.
Fucking lingerers, man.
They're everywhere.